Good evening, everyone. I think it's about time we should start with the session for today. So, good evening to all of you, and very warm welcome again to this FDP session. And I hope you guys are getting insightful information that you can implement in all your fields from this. So, let's not delay further, and let me introduce Dr. Vernika. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Varnika Kriwal, a distinguished academic and an associate professor in the operations area at the APJ School of Management, Dwarka, New Delhi. Dr. Agrawal is widely recognized as an inspiring thought leader in the areas of circular systems, strategic thinking, and sustainable growth. Her research primarily focuses on sustainable supply chain management, and she has an impressive body of work published in several reputed international journals, including those by Emerald, Elsewhere, and Wiley. Beyond her research, Dr. Agrawal actively contributes to the academic community as a reviewer for top tier journals, an editor for special issues, and the author of multiple books. She holds a PhD and an MPhil in supply chain management from the University of Delhi. Before joining APJ School of Management, she served as an assistant professor at MIT International Business School, MIT University. So, we are delighted to have her with us today, and we look forward to gaining valuable insights from her session. So, please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Venika Agrawal. And so, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And,
welcome Dr. Veronica Agrawal. Thanks for accepting our invitation.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. And if you allow me to share my screen.
Yeah. Are you able to share the screen?
Are you able to see this?
No, it's not
yet. Not yet. Yeah. We are able to see your screen.
Okay. I'll just quickly put it on the.
Yeah. Share the screen.
I've shared the screen. I hope the slides you are able to see. It is just moving.
No, full mode slide. Full mode screen.
I have shared a full mode. See, I hope it is visible.
It is not yet in that slideshow mode. We are able to see the slide, but it is not in that slideshow.
Okay, let me try once again.
Yeah, I think you would have to share your window screen, not just like the whole system screen, not just one window. That's right.
Allow to share the screen. Share the entire screen. I hope now it is visible.
Yeah, now it's fine.
Okay. Unfortunately, I am not able to see if anybody has any questions. So, Vidhi, if you can help me. If anybody has any questions, I'm not able to see.
No, Veronica, your voice is very low, if I'm not wrong. Is it right, Vidhi?
Okay, wait. Is it fine now?
Yes, it's fine. I can hear you.
Somewhat fine, but it's not fully.
Okay, the volume is set at full.
Not volume, your mic. It's not your volume, it's mics. You can check it.
It is over here, it is full. If you want, I can join via my phone and connect over there.
No, I think now it has become slightly better. Earlier, it was.
No, Veronica, actually, if possible, can you keep your laptop near to you so that? But there is no any voice. It looks like it's a very low.
Okay. Okay. Is it?
I'm able to see your screen, but too much blur. Is it, Vidhi, is it like that?
Yeah, yes. Same for me. Her screen is blur. I think there are some network issues.
I think Veronica, something issues in network side, your side network. No, Veronica, it is totally blurred.
Okay, let me connect to my phone.
See, even we are not able to see you. Too much blur.
I think data signal at her end is
Totally,
slightly
I think
weak. Yeah.
no data signal.
Yeah, that's why I also switched off my video because I thought it is a problem at my end. Oh, no, again.
Veronica, some network issue. I don't think it's going well. You can check it your network. No, Veronica.
No, Anita.
No, actually, the problem is not your system. It's internet issue. Hello, Veronica. Hello, Veronica. Are you there?
I think her screen froze.
Froze.
Okay,
Okay.
now
Veronica, some issues in your side network. Totally.
Okay. Is my am I visible now?
yeah, you're
Yeah, you're
visible.
visible.
Oh, Veronica, actually not visible, but it's not clear.
Mm,
We are not able to see you. We are able to see you only like as a, you are like an image format.
oh
There
yeah,
is no any
your screen is frozen, I guess.
totally frozen.
Maybe rejoining the meeting might help.
Yeah.
Okay. So is the screen visible, Vidhi?
Yeah, screen is visible. Your screen, like your face is on little blur.
Sorry?
Your face is a little
I'm
blurred.
totally blurred.
Yeah.
We are not able to see anything.
Okay, so what should I don't know. I've changed the network also twice.
No, your side network problem. You can check it.
I'm trying to connect. I'm trying to change the network also somehow. It's not working.
The Technical. Technical. Totally network is not possible at all because we are not able to see anything.
It might be an update issue because, like, I think Windows update issue. Sometimes the Teams does not cooperate when Windows is not fully updated.
Okay, let me log out and log in again, and let me see. Okay, and I'll just close everything else.
Okay.
I hope this network is better. Okay, is this network
now
better?
we are able to see you.
Okay, I shared the PPT.
But slides are
same problem, Veronica.
The slides are not visible.
Varnika ma'am, if it is okay with you, can you please share the slides with Vidhi?
Yeah.
Vidhi will telecast it. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Shall I share it over mail, Vidhi? Can you please?
Yeah,
Can
mail or
Yes,
WhatsApp,
yes,
whatever
Yeah,
it is.
that will be good.
yes.
Veronica, I think
The
you are
clarity
using
of the
the
slides are there.
headphone. Earphone. Are you using earphone?
No. I
You
tried,
possibly
but you were
use
not
the.
able to see. You were not able to hear
You
when
possibly
I was.
use the. If possible,
Vidhi,
you
can you send me
use the earphone because your voice is not audible, not clear.
Yeah.
You can switch off your video because your side network is not good, I guess. You can switch off your video.
Okay. Vidhi,
Yes, ma'am.
No, you
Yeah.
can WhatsApp.
Yes.
You can
I
otherwise
can.
you can forward to me in my WhatsApp, Veronica.
I have uploaded it on email.
Uh,
I've sent my email to you by WhatsApp.
Okay, I have shared with you. Okay,
Okay.
by the time let's start with it. as we were discussing, the major idea about here was the use of multi-criteria decision making in sustainability. So when we talk about multi-criteria decision making, the first question that I want
is it
to
audible?
ask, yes.
Vidhi, is it audible,
Let
her
me-
voice?
No, your voice is breaking, ma'am.
Vernika, from the beginning onwards, I'm telling you, your voice is not audible.
I have changed, sir, all the networks. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
now it's fine. What happened?
No, I have again changed another network.
No. Do you have the Wi-Fi?
I was connected by Wi-Fi only in the morning because due to pollution over here in Delhi, I think there might be issue.
Yeah, if
Strong case
possible,
as
can
to
you
why
share?
we should be sustainable.
If possible, can
That
you
is why we
share
should be
your screen?
sustainable.
Uh,
Yeah,
I'm
Venika, can you
sharing.
share your screen?
Okay, let me try to.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
If you don't mind, do you have any other laptop? Otherwise, can you restart your laptop if you possible?
Okay,
Yeah, please do that one.
okay.
Mm.
I hope now the PPT is better.
No, same.
Okay, it's okay. The PPT, it's no better quality.
We could share the PPT and Dr. Vanika could take the session ahead.
No, I don't think it's quite possible. Reason is her voice is also the breaking.
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe I'm facing problem or not.
no, yeah. I think it was breaking because she was sharing the screen. Now it's a little bit better when the screen is not sharing.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's like it's breaking in between, but it's better from before.
Better, Professor Varnika. Okay. I think Naveen, you're going to share the screen. Okay, so just a minute, we will start.
Okay, so I hope now you are able to hear me at least.
Yes, yes.
Uh, so okay. So very good evening to everyone. So the topic over here is the use of multi-criteria decision making for sustainability. So few of the things that I wanted to discuss over here is number one. We'll start with a very if you can tell me now my voice, is it better now?
Your voice is echoing, I think.
Echo.
Now is it better?
Varnika, your voice is
Yeah.
better, but I think you have opened two systems at the same time. So there is a feedback
If
in your
you,
voice.
yeah, if you don't mind, can you switch off your video?
Uh-huh. Okay. Now, from the mobile, is it better or laptop? It was better.
We don't know, but now it's
Mobile,
fine.
I
This
think
is better,
mobile
Varnika.
is
Please
better.
continue. Please
Please
continue. This is
continue.
Yeah.
better
Okay.
now.
Okay. So I wanted to discuss about the two, three starting points. We have lost the flow of it. So the first thing was decision making. So number one, when we talk about multi-criteria decision making, especially when we talk in terms of sustainability, the first question that arises is what is meant by the term decision making. So decision making is something that when we have options, what better option do we choose? So in similar manner, multi-criteria decision making basically deals with that we have multiple amount of criteria that we want to think about when we are making a particular kind of decision, and what exactly is the decision, choosing the best out of all the options that is available at any point of time. So that is why multi-criteria decision making is very essential, not just in as a field of mathematics or as an approach or in an extension of operation research, but rather in terms of sustainability also. Because when we talk about sustainability, the general context of it is sustainability is what we are leaving behind for the next generation. Especially the concept of circular economy that has gained a lot of momentum nowadays, specifically in be it manufacturing sector, be it general resource utilization. You can see right now that there was a lot of network problem. It might have not been there had I been in at my workplace, but because it was my home, and then the pollution level of in Delhi is right now also around 300. So you can imagine the type of sustainability we need over here. So basically, multi-criteria talks about when given a situation of some different sustainability, specifically when we have a lot of alternatives and a lot of criteria which we want to consider, and then how to make that particular kind of decision. So if you can move to the next slide, please. Okay. So can you move to the next slide? Yeah. No, we can move ahead. So this was generally my profile over here. So,
Next slide. Next slide.
slide number 4, please. Next one after this. Okay, so if we can think about the entire slide in terms of some problem context. So I've taken a very simple context of the what are to identify and prioritize key sustainable dimensions for implementing circular economy. So what was the flow earlier for this particular PPT was that we were going through what is meant by AHP, trying to solve an example for a smaller problem in using Excel, and then we would move to the next better approach that where AHP failed, then I wanted to tell about best first method, and then we would have moved about in the next phase of it, that is demetal, and finally we would have closed with wings, that is a newer MCDM methodology and extension of demetal approach. But due to repository of time now at hand, we'll be a little bit faster, but at any point of time you feel that something is amiss, I will be happy to explain it to you. So let's assume that our problem over here is to identify and prioritize key sustainability dimension for implementing circular economy in a manufacturing sector. So it might be in any dimension. So few of the major criteria that we wanted to talk about is obviously economic, environmental, and social sustainability. And then another dimension might be a technological readiness. So technological readiness is right now very major factor, considering that everything is moving right from automation to industry 4.0, industry 5.0. So that can also be one of the major criteria that we can talk about. So each of these criteria has some sub criteria into it. So our agenda over here to identify, okay, among these criteria, how much weight or how much priority we can give to each of these dimensions, so that we are able to work towards our goal of circular economy, but at the same time giving equal importance to every dimension will not serve our purpose, because somehow based on the type of stakeholders you have, you are bound to give certain section of it more importance. So that is what we will be going to do in the future in the problem. So next slide, please. So the first part over here is defining the decision problem. So as we have already discussed over it, when we talk about our problem, so we will carefully examine, okay, what scenario should be there. So once we are able to define a problem very well, the solution will come easier to us, specifically when it comes to multi-criteria decision making. So what happens in multi-criteria decision making is that, you have different type of methods. So a major reviewer questions comes in, or a major question comes, is that why have you used one approach and why not some other approach? So that basically depends upon our objective. So let us assume you have a set of problem in which you only have a criteria and you want to understand, okay, let me have 20 criterias, but I want to understand which criteria has influence on which other criteria. So that is my problem. Okay, I want to understand these are the criteria, but I want to know that, whether criteria one, if I control only 5 criteria out of these 20, will all the criteria be affected or not? So then if I have formulated my problem in such a way, then I will not be using AHP or best worst. So rather I'll be going maybe in terms of ANP, which is analytical network hierarchy, or a demetal approach. Why this demetal approach? Because it will help me in understanding the cause and effect relationship, or the relationship that two criteria have on each other, and to what extent these relationships exist. So the first and foremost problem is that how do you define a decision problem. Then coming to the next slide, our next objective is to understand what will be the objective or what is the goal that we want to achieve, and what kind of criterias and constraints we do have. So these are two terms that is normally being used. One is a criteria, another is a constraint. So can anybody, do you know what's the difference between a criteria and a constraint? You can move forward, please, Vidhi. Okay. Yeah. So when we talk about criteria, criteria basically are to ensure that what are the factors that are influencing what criteria on what steps take. If I want to if I want to control air pollution over here, maybe I should control the pollution level. Number one, or maybe I should restrict the number of vehicles on the road. So that is the criteria that are there. So what is a criteria? Then comes the constraint. So obviously we have a constraint that yes, the budget constraint is there. If I do any kind of thing, like for instance, if I implement odd even scheme in Delhi that it was implemented, so it causes a lot of infrastructural issues because we do not have an infrastructure over here which can cater to the people if they are not using their own vehicles. Or number two, the constraint might be that then a lot of people will reach their office late and there will be a huge number of public outcry. So that kind of constraints or a budgetary restriction that we have. So that are basically constraints. What we mainly need in our multi-criteria decision making approach are criterias, and obviously some kind of budget or regulation constraint is always there. That basically helps us in understanding the amount of effort that we put in for the survey and in getting the number of questionnaires that is to be filled. So moving forward, and we can the next will be we can move to the slide 8. So the last part is to understand the alternatives. So alternatives are basically what are the factors on which what are the alternative options that we have. So it might be in form of a strategy, it might be an options that are available. So that are all alternatives over here. What we are doing over here is we are analyzing this trade off, that based on these particular factors, what will be the score of the alternatives, and eventually we do sensitivity analysis. So because a lot of data that is being used or the questionnaires that we fill in multi-criteria decision making are based on individual judgment, so high amount of subjectivity is involved over here. So to test the robustness of the result, so we can vary the weight of the criteria to see how it impacts the rating. So a lot of criteria weights are changed, and then there are approaches like we skip one kind of criteria and then see that whether the ranking remains the same or the ranking has changed and how it has impacted. So different type of, or we increase or decrease the weight of each of the criterias and then see that how it has impacted our final ranking. So our model should obviously incorporate the sustainability aspect, or sorry, incorporate the subjectivity, but still it is to be having a sensitivity or robustness into its picture. So moving forward, third, we'll be quickly working towards AHP. So AHP was given by Sati in the year 2008. It is widely being used. Next slide, please. It has a decision-making problem. Uh, Next slide, please. After this. So okay, so it is a decision-making problem. In this, we can say we have three sub-levels. As we have already discussed, we have some kind of objective, then we have criteria, and finally, some alternatives on which we want to build up some strategies, some ranking that has to be done. So this type of relationship is there. You can see at level 2, there is no interrelationship among the criteria. So we assume over here that the criteria are independent of each other. So that is one major aspect of using AHP. So where do you use AHP? You use AHP when the criteria are independent of each other. If there is dependency, then AHP is not to be used. That is why defining of the problem is one major aspect that we have to work on. So next slide, please. Okay, so when we talk about applying it, it is a very small hierarchical um, uh, so when we talk about in this manner, so it has a few of the options. So you start by defining the problem and determine the goal and the objectives that we have. Then structural hierarchy or a diagrammatic structure like the previous slide is being formed. And then what we do, we construct a pair-wise comparison matrix. Once we have compared, we have generated these pair-wise comparison matrix, then the priorities are calculated and finally the eigenvalues. And once the eigenvalues are there, the last step is to see if the consistency is met or not, and then we take the decision of whether to revise our pairwise comparison or to combine the weight and to make a tentative decision. So moving forward, so we can move forward. We can move forward. One more slide, please. We can go to slide number 15. That is the SATI scale. Next one. Yeah, so this is an important thing. So when we are doing the pairwise comparison, normally what happen in a general, if you talk about, let's say, hypothesis testing also, you use a normal Likert scale. Over here, normally we do not use a Likert scale. Majority of the MCDM has its own scale available, and we prefer to use this particular scale. So we cannot use Likert scale as such. So in this particular method, we are using a scale developed by SATI that is known as SATI scale. So what it says, it is a 1 to 9 scale in which one says that, it shows the intensity of importance. So 1 is equally important. So that means that the judgment favors both the criterias equally. Then 3 means moderately important. So judgment favors one criteria slightly more than the other. And subsequently, 9 means absolute or extremely important. So the middle values, that is 2, 4, 6, and 8, are used to be given a compromise that is required, that, if it is not equal, not moderate, somewhere in between, so that somewhere is being captured by using the values. So how to do this pairwise comparison? I am not sure how many of the people are comfortable by using MCDM. So we'll go with a little bit of basic that, if you want to do a pairwise comparison, the scale looks like this. So 1 is at the middle and it goes from 9 to 9. And why the scale is being important? Because, the similar type of scale is used in best worst method also. So a lot of MCDM, actually ANP also. So a few of the MCDMs uses a similar kind of scale for judgment. So what it says, it says that is it equal? So for instance, if I say that I strongly favor bananas to apple, then I will put the mark over 5. So that is saying that strongly it is towards bananas rather than it is towards apple. So in similar manner, based on the number of criteria we have to make a lot of judgment. So this is one of the major drawbacks of AHP at today's stage, because a lot of data is being needed to be filled by the decision maker, and hence that is actually an advantage also, because now you are doing it with only the focus group in picture. So eventually more data is required, but overall a lesser number of people are good enough to apply MCDM. So a sample size of, let's say, 10 to 15 is a good size when we are applying any MCDM method. That rather than when we are doing hypothesis testing, so 10, 15 is nothing for that judgment scale. So if you move forward, similarly, we can do it for other matrices also. So if you can go to slide number 18. Okay. So eventually, once we have done the comparison, so what we say is we have gotten a matrix like structure that is given in A, that we have three criteria and we have evaluated, done three judgments based on it. And the diagonal elements of over here in any AHP scale is 1. By 1, what do we mean? That it is equally important. So apple to apple is equally important. So in any AHP table, the diagonal element will be 1. And then how to fill the remaining of the matrix? That is an inverse. So you take the inverse of the upper triangular matrix and you fill it on the bottom way. So similarly, you can also generate data for the bottom triangular matrix and then reverse it to fill the upper triangular matrix. So once this is being done, then what do? We find out the eigenvalue and the eigenvector. So go to the slide 20. So over here, the eigenvalues are very simply, once you have formed the matrix, then we sum each of the column and normalize it. So by normalizing, please, next slide, please. By normalizing it, next slide, please, we'll get the sum as 1. And by computing the sum total normalized eigenvector, we'll get the priority vector. So we have just sum total the values on row wise and then divided by, made an average of it. That is why we got the priority. So how to read this particular thing is like that, means the first criteria is 28% known, second is 64, and the third is only 7%. So now once we get the priority, our agenda is to check the eigenvector. So that is done by finding the principal eigenvalue. So it is obtained by the summation of the product between each elements of the vector and sum of the columns of the reciprocal value as given over here. So you have sum total the values and multiplied it by each of the priority that you have gotten. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide, please. So once we get this, we will be checking for the consistency. So what is consistency? What did Sati do? Sati made a lot of matrices and around 500 of the matrices of each size, and then found out these eigenvalue or the priority vector, and it found out a consistent ratio that, you know, if you increase the size to a very high number, then we say that the series converge. So similarly, we found out the value and we say that the consistency ratio is 10%. And so that is, they are, if the CR values is coming to be like, that's a consistency ratio that is coming out to be less than 10%, then we will accept our judgment. Otherwise, we'll ask the decision maker to redo the judgment. So next slide, please. So they have found out this type of table given at the bottom of the slide. So here I've computed these consistency, the RI value or the random consistency index is for using a lot of 300 and 500 around matrices for each of the dimensions of it. And once he had done that, then we use what we have found over here. We found the lambda. I subtract the value of the matrix. So it was a 3 criteria matrix. So we subtract 3 divided by n minus 1, that is 3 minus 1, and found the value of consistency index. Once we found the consistency index, then corresponding to the third value, we have 0.58. We divide this value by the RI, and if the value comes out to be less than 10%, then we say we'll accept whatever input has been taken up by the people. Otherwise, we are going to reject the same. So if you'll move next. Yeah. Okay, so over here we can see that it is coming out to be less than 10%. So we can say that we will be accepting this particular criteria. So coming back to slide number 27. So we can also do, so this was an example that I wanted to do. 20, next please. Next. Okay, so this was an example that I wanted to do or share with you on Excel, but I don't think now we have that much time that we can do it using Excel. So what we have done over here, the criteria that initially we have found out. So I have used those criteria, and then I have inputted some decision makers value over here. So you can see that the diagonal elements are 1, and whatever the values are there in the upper and lower triangular matrix, they are inverse of each other. So next slide, please. So based on that, we found the we did the calculation and found the final answer. So we'll see if we have time still, then maybe we can open the Excel and show you the formulas. So where it is being used. So now you know AHP, is it still being used? Yes. So next slide, please. So this was one of our studies. So normally AHP right now is not being used directly, but yes, in terms of sustainability, we did a study in 2000. 2017 18, that paper was there. So it was in Annals of Operational Research, which is an ABDCA. So we took certain sustainability criteria, made an hierarchical structure as we have already given, and then used it along with another linear programming approach to get the weight. So this is very useful approach when we are not sure about certain newer things that we cannot quantify as such. So if we do not have any kind of quantitative data for it, so we can obviously interact with decision maker, get that data done, and then make it into a quantitative data. So next slide, please. So because AHP has been around for a lot of method, a newer upgrade of it is the best first method. So this was recently being introduced in the last decade by Jafar Rezai. And what it says that, we do not need actually so many pairwise comparison matrices. We cannot, because if we are filling up the matrix, you can see that, even for the 3 criteria, we have to fill 3, we have to take 3 questions. But if it changes to 4 criteria, then that pairwise comparison keeps on increasing at a very higher pace. So how to overcome this problem? So he developed a best worst method, which is also very structured way. And the best part about it is, if you Google search best worst method, you will be able to find a software that is available, and Excel sheet is already available for this particular factor, so then that becomes easier for us also to utilize. So if moving forward, okay, so what it does, we can move to the step by step process of best worst method. So taking into consideration the similar criteria, what we have to do over here, next please. Okay, so what we have to do over here is very simply, we have to identify. First, we have identified the criteria. So let us take the similar criteria that we have identified in this earlier slide that was about sustainability. And then what we have to do, out of all the criteria, we'll identify which criteria is the best and which criteria is the worst. So what do you mean by best and the worst? The best criteria is, out of the list of, let's say, 5 criteria, which one do the expert think is the most important? So that is the best criteria. And which one the expert thinks is the least important? So that is the worst criteria. So once you are done with it, then yes, it is written pairwise comparison, but only 2 comparison uh, tables are to be found. So only 2 comparison tables we have to make, and nothing else. And then we have to just use the similar SATI scale to evaluate and do the judgment. So next slide, please. Okay, next slide, please. Next. Okay, so an interesting quote by Einstein is that everything should be made as simple as possible, but not very simple. So that's what this particular approach of best versus trying to say. So it says that, the comparisons can be made in a very structured way, which can make the judgments, number one, very easy. And secondly, the data from the input is also very easy, because then, the consistency issues will be very less, because lesser number of evaluation we have to do, also lesser number of comparison. So what it does, it says that, if you can see on the screen, if there are these following trees, so you can directly see that, this one is the best, the second one, and the third one is the least. So we have to make a comparison for with respect to each. So similarly, in this is how the best and the worst is also being defined over here. So let's try to do it with a small example. So if you can move to slide 39. Next, please. Okay. So coming back to this question, what we had taken earlier four main criteria. The first was economic sustainability. The second was environmental sustainability. The third was social sustainability. And the fourth was technological readiness. So out of which, what you have to do over here is simply ask the decision maker key, okay, so can you tell me which of the following criteria is the most important? So let's say that right now, considering the situation I am in, I would also definitely say that environmental, that is the most important aspect right now. And then I say, okay, least important. Then the second question is identify the least important criteria. That is maybe social sustainability. And then we have to do only two comparison vectors, not even matrices, only two vectors are needed. The first, okay, yeah, sorry, there's a question, there's a chat. Uh, yes, for the secondary data, it will be difficult. It is more to do with primary data collection that we can apply best first method. Because again, from the secondary data, it will be difficult for you to compute this relative ratings. So primarily for any type of basic study that you require, or maybe because a lot of faculty members are there, so maybe the projects that we get make our students do. So that is a very good approach. So then what we have to do, we have to rate the one criteria with respect to others. So let me show you how easy it is to do. So you don't even need to do the mathematical modeling half of the time. So Vidhi, if you can just open the Excel sheet which is written as best first solver. So you can close
Okay.
this PPT and please open that sheet.
Okay. Just give me a minute.
Yeah. So by the time she is opening, it's a very simple way to do it. So if you can go to the website called as bestworstmethod.com, um, let me share that link in the chat window. Okay, so you can go to this website over here. So this has been developed by Dr. Rajali, And over here, you can click to best first solvers. So over here, the Excel file is downloadable. So you have a Bayesian solver also. And over here, you can just download this Excel file. And once you download this Excel file, you can see something like what is displayed on the screen. So this kind of an Excel file comes into picture. Okay, it came for a second. Okay, so that kind of a file will come into the picture, and then what we have to do, we have to identify that how many criteria do we have, and based on it, the corresponding tab can be opened. And once we open the tab, and then we just have to simply fill in the values. So that is actually a very good approach that maybe you can apply when you are working with a student data set or something. So you can see over here. So these are the instructions how to make this particular thing work. And over here in the bottom of it, there are C1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So because right now, let us take our own original example of having 4 criteria. So if I take those 4 criteria, then I choose the downward option of C is equal to 4. So once you take the C is equal to 4 over here, please click to C is equal to 4. In the bottom tab only. Over here, C is equal to 4. No, where your mouse is. In the tabs, a little bottom. There's written in the bottom of the screen, there is written example, C is equal to 3, C is equal to 4.
Vidhi, there are sheets. The sheet
There are
name
sheets.
is C equal to 4.
C is equal to 4. Yeah.
Sheet name, yeah.
Sheet name. But the enable editing, please. Yeah. And but the problem with using this is there's a very small problem is that you have to have solver into your system. If you don't have solver, so then it will be difficult to solve it. But again, the steps are very simple. Over here, you can put up the name of the criterias in the cell C3, D3. In this particular value, we can rename it with the factor name that we have already, like environmental, economic, social, sustainability. Whatever you'll type over here will be the criteria 1, criteria 2 will be replaced by those factor names. So let's, for example, write over here, just write economic. So in the first one, C3, yeah, economic. Okay, just write eco, it's okay. And in the second one, environmental. So you can see it is the sheet is linked in the 9th row. It is already being changed in social and technology. Okay. So now the question is very simply you have to select the best. So here you can ask the decision maker to select what according to them is the best factor. So over here, if you click on this particular cell, select the best, that is C5. So a small drop down arrow will become. No, not C5. Sorry. In that similar sheet only, in where the select the best is written, just next to it. Yeah. Okay. A small drop down arrow is there, so you can click on it and you can choose whatever is the best one. So let's say we'll have taken environmental. So please click on environmental, and then similarly worst. So you can click over here on social. Okay, so it will automatically update the sheet. Now you just have to fill these 2 factors. Then again, why we have to fill this particular is because to check the consistency. So the others 2 verses only to check the consistency. So if we go over here to the environmental one, the best 2 others matrix. So environmental with respect to economic, again we are using the SATI scale over here. We are not using the general scale. So let me give this a rating of 3, that it's slightly important. So you can also draft the questionnaire in similar manner. So We'll give it a rating of 3. Then the other one is environmental. With environmental is 1 because they're equally important. As we remember from AHV, the diagonal elements are always 1. And then social, let's say it's 7. And let's say technological is around 5. So I just assumed it to be 5. So others to worst is that if I have considered environmental as the best, or it was the tallest tree in that diagram. So the worst one was social. So with respect to social, the values will be roughly inverse in nature. So that is what we have to fill. So when we think about social, so then the value of economic will be, let's say, because it was slightly important over here, so over here it will be very important. So something like 7 will be there. Okay. Oh, wait. 7. In the drop down menu, you can select, in the economic one, 7, yeah. Then environmental, because it was most important over there, so it will be least important over here, so 9. Then social is the worst one, so 1. Or inverse kind of a ranking is there. And technology can be something like a 4. Okay, so you can see, then you can see over here it is written that, this pairwise comparison is not acceptable as such level. So that means some input should be revised, but we'll come back to that. So over here in the weight state, if you will click over here in this, and now what you have to do, you have to go to the data tab over here and click on solver if you have the data on the top where home and insert is there written. No, where the file is there, written file and home and insert. Yes, over here there's a tab called data. No. Go back. Okay. Here only, data. So if you have solver installed, then only you can use it. So currently, I think she's not having it, but the next step is very simple. You just have to click on the solver icon, which will come over here, and these weights will be there. So now, for the consistency over here, it is right now telling us that the comparison is not acceptable. So that means that we have to revise this. So we have to revise this a little bit so that we are able to get the consistency. But I hope the basic picture everybody got. You can stop sharing your screen, and it will obviously give you a graph if once it has been solved using this. So coming back to the PPT, so that is another approach that we could have done. That is a best first approach. And now for its application, so if you can go to slide 41. Okay, you can please share the PPT. Okay, next slide, please. 41. So similar kind of aspect is there. So where have we used it actually? So this is one of our very interesting paper that we have done with Professor Mati Gyazan. So and the surprising part is that in this particular paper, we have only used best first method, and no other approach, no hybrid approach, nothing has been used. A simple best first method was being used to compute that for the identification and the prioritization of the lean and agile practices for achieving global sustainability goals. So in the manufacturing sector, we have taken a few of the lean agile practices that have been carried out. So these practices we have collected data from the different manufacturing sectors, and then we have used this particular approach to get our results. And yes, it got through in technological forecasting and social change. So still a very valid approach. You can use it for your research purposes. is, and specifically any kind of student project. So it is very easy for you also to explain it to them. And then because of you, everybody knows the repository of time that we have with them. So in that case, it is always easier to collect smaller data set and more focused one, rather than telling them to collect 500 survey forms. So that becomes always a very difficult task as such. So coming forward, the next slide. So next, we have a lot of we have small amount of time left, but still, so the another very interesting approach is this DMATL, that is also being widely used as such. So if you can go to slide 50. So again, another application. Yes. So this is another application of where we have actually used DMATL to get a good publication done with Professor Mathi. So in this also we have identified the barriers that were restricting the elimination of single-use plastic in Indian context. So we have identified a lot of factors, and then we have utilized DMATL approach in this. So moving up in the slides, let's again go back to the basic slide for DMATL, that is 43. Okay, back. Few slides back. Okay, so how to do this particular DMATL? So this particular approach have a very simple 6-step approach, and then first is again we have to understand our list of criteria. So now the DMATL can only be applied when there is interrelationship between the criteria, because that is what it helps us in understanding. It helps us in understanding, that if we have criteria A and criteria B, how much influence will criteria A put over criteria B. So that is where this particular approach uses it. So when we are assuming that there is no interrelationship that is there, then we use AHP, and or we can use best first. And when we think that there is interrelationship between the criteria, then we use the next approach, that is DMATL. Okay, so once we have gotten this particular evaluation criteria, then if then we find out the pairwise comparison matrix again, the entire comparison matrix. And once the because if you are taking multiple inputs from multiple people, expert, then we can also find an average of the matrix that we have obtained. Once we find the average, we'll find the normal direct relationship and total, which is nothing but normal is you are normalizing the matrix in the similar format that we have done for AHV, and then total relation based on the real analysis theory will be moving forward, and then we are finding the degree of relationship among the factors. So next slide, please. On the next slide, please. Okay, so let's say these were the factors that we have used in one of that papers. So next, please. And then what we have done, we have basically identified people, and then a different kind of scale is used normally over here, a 0 to 4 scale, where 0 says that there is no influence between the factors, and 4 says that the influence is very high between the factors. So I wanted to do an Excel based idea. I'll show you the Excel still for how to compute. The best part about these all approaches in MCDM is that you do not need any softwares to do it. Basic Excel and some data analysis functions in Excel, very basic Excel functions, and yes, you'll be able to do these particular things. So once we have found out an pairwise comparison matrix, so we use the scale of 0 to 4 to do it. If we have multiple amount of people that are filling our data, then we will average it out. And once we have averaged it out, we'll use the maximum value that is there in our matrix to normalize this particular value. Once we have normalized it, then we'll use this particular function, that is, and the value of the matrix divided by 1 minus the value of matrix, to find the total relation, which is showing us what the relationship is there, how much relationship or how much degree of influence one variable or one criteria puts on another. Next slide, please. And finally, we calculate the row and column sum. Once we calculate the row and column sum, then we are able to find out the degree of effect that it has. So we are finding Ri minus Ci, that is row sum minus column sum. So, and row sum plus column sum. So row sum minus column sum basically tells us the net influence the first factor will have on the system, and the vice versa is by Ri. Total influence that the matrix is getting is by Ri plus Ci. And finally, we set up a threshold and draw the diagram impact map that is there. So moving forward, next slide. So this is the type of relationship graph that is formed, and it looks very interesting to show that, this is where the matrices are influencing, or the variables are influencing each other. So let me show you this with the help of an Excel sheet. I think it will be better to understand. Very again, I'm disturbing you. So you
No,
can,
no, sure.
please close this and please open the slide of the Excel sheet of DMATL.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yes, in this, please go to the sheet calculations. The next sheet. Yes. So this is how this particular uh, table is going to look. So I have changed the criteria set a little bit from what we had used in AHP, because in AHP we assumed that there is no relationship between the variables. But over here, our first assumption is that there is interrelationship between the variables. So we have to basically fill up this particular matrix from the decision makers. So you can see over here the diagonal elements over here are 0. So in AHP, what happened, we had taken the diagonal elements as 1, which are saying that it is equally important. Over here, what do? We fill up as 0, saying that there is no influence on the same criteria over the other. So C1 upon C1 will not be having any influence. And then we'll be filling up this in the sense that, how much influence C1 is exerting on C2. So how much influence resource efficiency is giving on renewable energy. Then how much is resource efficiency giving on the third criteria, that is waste management, and so forth and so on. So you can get that this particular matrix filled by your experts, and then the sum of the rows and column is taken. So very simple formula of sum is being used over here. So then what do? We'll normalize it in the next step. So out of all the sums, we'll identify the maximum value, that is 14. So using 14 as denominator, we'll divide all the values of this particular uh, matrix with 14 to get this normalized value. So once we are getting this normalized value, then next, please scroll down a little. Yeah. Then this is the total relations matrix that we got. So how did we get this particular matrix over here? So this is the most important. This is telling us the amount of row wise, it is telling us the amount of influence one criteria has on another. So if you go to the next table of sub calculations, the next sheet of sub calculations. So what we have done over here, we have copied this normalized decision value over here. We have taken an identity matrix of the same value and then subtracted our matrix from this identity matrix. Go down, please. So we have I minus D. Then what we have done, we have made an inverse of I minus D because the formula was D into I minus D inverse. So basic function of matrix multiplication is being used in this particular slide. So whatever values this is there, then go down please. So this is matrix inverse. M inverse is the function that is being used. Just over here it is written also. And the next one we have used MULT, that is matrix multiplication. We have multiplied this inverse value with the original value. So whatever value this comes, this is our total relation matrix that is given in this calculation tab. Please move back to the previous tab, calculations. So once you are able to do this, then what we will do, we will calculate the row sum and the column sum. And the last thing what we are doing is to calculate this threshold. Threshold is that where we want to draw a line, so that we see that, you know, C1 is also exerting little bit of impact on C1. Then C1 is impacting on C2. So what will be that threshold below which we are not considering impact as anything? We are saying that it might be a random effect that is happening. So that can be done by the input from decision maker, or you can take an average of the matrix, and that average can be decided as the threshold. Okay, and then once we have done this, so what we do, we calculate the row sum and column sum as Ri and Ci, and then we add Ri plus Ci and Ri minus Ci. So once we are doing this, this basically table helps us in understanding what are the cause variable and what are the effect. So now what is cause and effect? Cause are the variables which are basically the most important one. Effect is that they are generating. So if we'll control our cause variable, the effect variables will be automatically controlled. So whatever variables lies in the fourth quadrant, or which have Ri minus Ci as negative, will be the cause, and the others will be the effect. So once you do that, you have to plot this Ri minus Ci and Ri plus Ci in a graph, and then you can make an impact diagram by connecting the dots. That's it. So thank you, Vidhi. We can move back to the PPT. So lastly, the last thing I wanted to tell you is that, you know, now this has also become an older technique, that is demattel. A lot of variations have come in, and the newest variation is Wings methodology. So that has been recently being found. Um, so the last slide, because I know the time is almost getting over. So we'll just go to the slide 53. Sorry, 54. That is there. Next, if you like. Okay, next. Next, please. Okay, yeah. Can we please change the slide? Yeah, 253. Hello.
We've changed it to 53. We are in slide number 53.
Okay, I think my system has rang then. Okay, so the last thing that I wanted to say is like the comparative summary. So if we talk about the changes that are there. So when we talk about AHP, it is more about hierarchical prioritization. It is a linear kind of a structure, and the output will be weights, and we assume that the factors are independent of each other. Only then we'll be able to do AHP. Then the second one is the best worst method, which is more about optimal consistency. Again, it is linear in nature. The output are obviously the weights, and there is no casual insights that are there. So we do not need the factors to be necessary independent. So there no such assumption is being used over there. And then we work towards demattel. So demattel is mostly all about influence mapping. and it is network based. It is not linear in nature, and the output will be cause and effect. It can tell you easily what factors influence what other factors. And lastly, the newest update of a demetal approach, like best was for AHV. So similarly, Wings is for demetal. So this is a non-linear model which is hybrid in nature, and it provides a composite index. What does it do? We can go with the thank you slide. So what does it do over here is that it tells you that the diagonal elements need not be zero. So you can also map the effect that one item will have on the other using this particular approach of Wings. So that is the last approach. I hope I am on time, the next speaker. And I really want to apologize that my internet was not working, and that the things were out beyond my control at that time. So we can go to the contact info, please. So in any case, if anybody has any problems and they are not able to understand any approach or anything, please feel free to connect with me. I am normally very prompt in replying. And thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, Naveen, if you don't mind, can you put this one is the full slide mode so that everybody will be able to, yeah, thank you. No. Previous slide. Last slide, yeah.
Okay. So please feel free to connect with me, even if you are stuck at any of the levels. I'll be happy to help you out with this.
Thank you.
And I
Veronica.
apologize.
No,
I
not an
was
issue.
so
Not an
sorry
issue.
for the internet trouble.
Not an issue. If it is offline, we'll manage it. If it is online recording version, so that's the thing, sir. But you managed well, and also the team Naveen and Vidhi did the wonderful role. Thank you.
Vidhi. Thank you so much, Vidhi.
No, and thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for the great session.
Yeah, any questions from the participants?
Yes.
Any questions? If you have any question, anything, you can unmute and ask your doubts or questions if you have anything. Yeah, if no question, just I wanted to ask only one thing from my side, Veronica. You are fully up. That means your focus was fully like this sustainability, all this one. Do you have any idea how the next level of this improvement is quite possible? Okay, MDG, SDG. After the SDG, how the UN going to introduce some new practices? Any kind of specific idea? Any focus? Do you have idea?
I think even if because millennial development goals and sustainability took a lot of time in between coming, and recently the focus is more towards making everything smart. So AI based things. So something about, because eventually the amount of time we use chat GPT and everything, that is also harming the environment. So I think somewhere to do with AI and computational intelligence and sustainability should be their target in the next few times, because right now, though, even if you want to ask 2+5, a lot of people do chat GPT. So that type of dependence on AI has, and you can see a lot of young kids, if you have Alexa at home, they'll do their homework by asking the smart devices rather than using their own intelligence. I think something related to computational sustainability should be in focus in the future, or green AI, something like that.
Okay. Okay, Veronica, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions from the participants? I think there's no.
Sir, Dr. Varnika, for coming and sharing your views and thoughts with all of us. Though there was so much of challenge, I think you finally overcame and then delivered an excellent talk. Thanks, Dr. Varnika.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And I think sometimes I prefer to come offline and do this at your institution.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We'll get you here, Doctor.
Thank you, sir. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
I think Mr. Lakshmi Narayan has joined. We can start the
Yeah.
next session.
If you, Vidhi, if possible,
Yes, sir.
can you share the Lakshmarayanan slide? That means the poster. Yeah. Please share the. Naveen, if possible, please share the Lakshmarayanan poster.
Yes, sir.
Screen. Yeah, screen. Yeah. Thank you, Naveen. Thank you, Naveen. Yeah. It's over to you, Vidhi, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Thank
So I hope you guys are hooked up to the sessions and you enjoyed this great insight that Dr. Vanika shared with us. Now it's time to move ahead to our next session. That is with Mr. Lakshmi Narayan. So it is my honor to introduce Mr. Narayan, a seasoned quality management professional with over 15 years of extensive experience in driving product excellence and implementing robust quality management systems. In his Sorry.
Hello.
Please. Thank you, sir.
From, yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, thank you,
Please
sir.
go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So,
I
in his
muted.
current, yeah, thank you. In his current role, Mr. Narayan is a manager of QA and QC at VA Tech Babak Ltd. Mr. Narayan leads quality functions across diverse projects, from contact review to final inspection, ensuring the highest standards of performance and compliance. Over the years, he has held several key positions, including quality manager at Gradient India and deputy manager at Murkapa Organo Water Solutions, where he was recognized with the GEM Award for successfully implementing the quality management system. Earlier in his career as a senior engineer at BGR Energy Systems, he earned recognition as a top performer for 5 consecutive years, reflecting his consistent excellency and leadership in quality operations. Mr. Narayan is currently broadening his managerial perspective through a postgraduate program in management from IIM Tiruchirappalli, and he holds a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from the College of Engineering. So we are honored to have him today with us, and we look forward to an insightful and engaging session. And I asked all of you to warmly welcome him for this session. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vidhi, for introducing me. And good evening, everyone. I hope this is a long day for me, and I hope it's a long day for you as well. But I wanted to take this opportunity and use this platform to, share the knowledge and gain the knowledge as well. And so let me share my presentation. Everyone talks about moving abroad to yeah, before getting into this topic, let's watch a 1.5 minute video, and we will connect these dots in the later part of the session.
If possible, can you fix the full slide? Yeah.
Yes,
If
sure,
possible.
sir.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. I think audio is not there. While sharing the screen, if you click that share with the audio, then it's good. Unshare it, again share the screen.
1 minute, sir. Okay.
Participants, kindly mute yourself so that everyone will get able to understand what is the expert information, everything. Kindly mute yourself.
Are you all messing with me? Is there a bear here that lives here?
Yeah. We have a resident Bhalu. He is also a warrior of TD, compost warrior. So he helps us, he churns, so you have to do something called augering.
Okay.
So in composting, you need a lot of aeration. Like even if you do in your own home, you're trying to compost, you cannot have it like completely packed. So it needs a lot of air for the microbes and for all the beings that are inside, okay? So we have something where we do augering. So we have this huge kind of something like this, and we have to put it in and we have to sort of, but when the Bhalu comes, we don't have to do that because he does it for us,
So there is a Bhalu?
Yeah, he comes, it's been I think 3 years since he's come. And 3-4 years by Sakela.
Isn't it a little dangerous to have?
No, he's very cute. I mean, he hasn't done anything.
I like the fact that you're not saying friendly. Are you all messing with me? Is there a bear here that lives here?
Okay, so we have seen this video, and how many of you have seen the bear in the wild forest? Okay, so I do not know I am fortunate or unfortunate, but I have seen only twice in my lifetime the wild bear in the forest. So yeah, before getting into the topic of tourism, I just wanted to know, what is tourism according to you? Am I audible, by the way?
Yes, sir. Audible.
You are audible.
Yeah, tourism means
you.
visiting many places. Visiting many places and to know about the places and whatever the importance of the places. According to me, it is called tourism.
Thank you very much for the response, ma'am. Yeah, so I would like to share my personal perspective of tourism. So tourism, according to me, is the other side of us. What I meant us is whatever we do in our daily activities. So we are planned, we are organized, and we will keep our environment clean and tidy. But whereas when we go for a trip, we are relieved from this responsibility of, being organized and keeping the environment clean and efficiently using the resources. So yeah, in a trip, or we tend to pollute a lot of times. I'm sorry. Yeah, and so when we are polluting the environment, we are also emitting the greenhouse gases, which causes the climatic changes. And if you see, there is a statistical data which tells the emissions arising from the tourism. And I have particularly taken from 2022. Why? Because the post-COVID, the tourism has grown to a big time. Like that is mainly because the people wanted to take it's like take a revenge. Like during the COVID time, they were they were all shut in their houses, and it is like a revenge tourism. The tourism has grown to a greater extent, and likewise the emission is also getting increased. Like in 2024, almost 190 kgs of CO2 equivalent is being emitted. It is per capita, and which is 10% of the average Indian emissions, which is like 1.9 tons of CO2 equivalent we are emitting annually. And so have you, anyone of you have visited Hamta Pass or have heard about the Hamta Pass? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes. Yeah. So Hamta Pass is a trek route which is located in the Himachal Pradesh. And what's so special about Hamta Pass is it gives a great crossover from the lush green forest to a snowland. So on one side of the Hamta Pass is the lush green side of the Kulu, and the other side is the desert of the Spiti. So every year, a large number of trekkers passes through this route, and they experience the Himalayas. But the sad part is they are also littering the places. So this is a photo from India Hikes. Like last year, they have organized a green sweep campaign. So they have collected 1,710 kgs of the plastic waste from 3 treks. And we all know, like, to manufacture a one plastic bottle of 500 ml, it almost emits 90 to 100 grams of CO2 equivalent. And just imagine how much we are creating a pollution and we are emitting the greenhouse gases to the environment. And so in tourism, the customer journey is the first touch point of the customer is the customer approaching the travel companies for a trip, and the travel companies provide them with the information which is required for them to make informed decisions. And when a customer make a bookings and they arrive at a place, they will anyways they'll have to take a transportation, and that transportation will emit the greenhouse gases. And again, while they stay in the resort, they also generate the waste because of the activities from the hotels or the campsites, and that waste generation will also emit the greenhouse gases. And so when is it advisable to take a trip because it is emitting so much of greenhouse gases? Is it advisable to take a trip to the places? Yes, the answer is yes, it is advisable, but there should be a regulations or a sustainable way where we emit less greenhouse gases and we enjoy the nature in the way it is to be enjoyed. So a customer, whenever a customer makes a call, the travel company has to set the expectations right upfront, within the first few interactions with the customers, and that expectations will give an idea about what to expect from the places and how they should gain those experiences, or how they should act in those places. So this gives a great the way to start the sustainability, yes. And so for any business to exist, the purpose of the business to exist is to have a profit. This is the hard truth. And how do they get the profit? If they get a continuous business, the company makes a good amount of profit. And how do they get the continuous business? If they meet if they consistently delivering the value it has promised, the company can expect a good amount of business. And so this is the core concept of any business. That is, it has to create a value, and that value will drive the business. So in order to create the value consistently, it has to achieve the customer satisfaction. It's like the customer satisfaction. So not everyone of the customers are equally satisfied. So, but to avoid, the entropy of customer satisfaction, if the travel company has set the expectations, so the customer will expect less from the trip, and then the company will achieve a great customer satisfaction. And customer satisfaction alone will not, increase the value of the company. So its own employees also plays a major role, because again, it's a networking effect. And if the employees are kept, in a good health and peace, they will also, feel good about working in the company. And this is how the value is created, and the business is generated. So in tourism industry, like you can see, if you Google, there are numerous travel companies and numerous hotels or campsites or cottages. But still, many people are coming into this industry. So what is the incentive for them to enter into this industry? Yes, sir.
They gain profit.
Yes, to gain profit. But why they are choosing this industry, tourism industry? Or is it easy to enter into this tourism industry than in any other industries? Or
There are so many rules and regulations are there. If you want to do the tourism, you should know about the, say for example, if you arrange tour for Singapore, you should know the rules, the law prevailing over there, and educate the travelers from India. So they have to follow the rules and regulations, and also risky also. Suppose if you arrange a tour to Kashmir, for sometimes you have to face some turmoils over there. So many factors we can going on saying.
right, ma'am, right. So these are the difficulties in the tourism industries, or I would say it's the challenges in the tourism industries. But still, people enter into this industry. I mean, like in my perspective, for three main reasons. One is, as you said, it's a profit, because the tourism industry gives a good amount of profit. And the other reason is there is no substitute for tourism. So if you take the other industries, there is always a substitute. But for tourism, there is no real substitute for tourism. Yeah, so this drives the many players, because if they create a value, obviously they will be in the industry for a long period of time, and because there is no substitute for this service, or for this in this industry. And so to for any company, yes, profit is one thing, and the other one is like how they are dealing with the local communities. Because in tourism, whenever a company started hotels or any kind of tourism, it basically cuts the ties with the local people, because the local people do not prefer, in general, they do not prefer someone to come and start a hotel in their locality, because it will cause a disturb. They feel like it will cause a disturbances to them. So for the company to sustain, they have to manage these local people, and they have to manage the regulatory bodies, and they will have to manage the customer. So the difficult part for them is to manage the customer, or to increase their satisfaction. Because rest other things, it is a standard process, and we have procedures for the regulatory bodies, and the companies, in fact, are indeed, like they are keeping a good rapport with the local communities. But with the customers, it is very difficult because the customers are always dynamic. And the companies are going to any extremes to keep their customers satisfied. And in that process, the companies are using a large amount of resources. But these resources, whatever resources we have, is very limited, and the companies cannot, utilize these resources without recycling it. And that is where the sustainability comes into the place. Because many travel companies, they started to think that sustainability is the only thing which will drive the future of tourism. And so, of course, going sustainable, like the initial investment is very high, but is there any incentives to go sustainable? The answer is yes, because there is a statistical data which tells almost 65% of people, they prefer to, or they are willing to pay more if the place or if the travel company is practicing this sustainable sustainable norms. So you can see from in the right side of the chart. So this is a survey conducted in January 2024 for the travelers who are 18 years or old. And in the European countries, almost 53% of the people are willing to pay more if they are staying in the sustainable places. And what factors, inspire the travelers to take this sustainability path? So 32% of the people, they believe it is the right thing to do, and 16% of the people, they believe the sustainability can enhance their experiences. Yes, it is indeed in enhancing their experiences. We will see that how in the later part of this the session. And so sustainable means like we will also bring the local communities into the business, because that's how we grow. The growth can also be a sustainable. So if we bring a local communities into the business, so the customers who are visiting the places gets the authentic experience, or the local authentic experiences. And so that will also drive the business or increase the business for the company. And so I'm going to talk about the two travel companies. Means like one one is a campsite which is located in the three places, and the other one is a permaculture based tourism place which is located in the Darjeeling. So the campsite which I'm going to talk about is the Alpas Camps and Resorts. So the Alpas, the inceptors of Alpas, they wanted to, to form an eco-friendly tourist place. and due to the locality and the constraints, so they could not build a a wooden cottage or the hardcore of eco-friendly. In terms of what I meant is like the real forest kind of an experience. But yeah, but the location itself is located near to the reserve forest. So what they did is like they started a campsite, and all of their infrastructures, is a carbon friendly, or I would say is which will result in minimal carbon footprints. Yeah. So one such is the bamboo cottage, which is on the left side of the slide. So we all know like the bamboo is the net carbon negative. So a bamboo which is greater than 10 years old will absorb or would have absorbed 4,800 kilograms of CO2 equivalent approximately in its lifetime. So again, the bamboo which we are using is the old bamboo, and yeah, it served its purpose. So instead of going for construction or the conventional constructions, the building, the conventional construction building will emit almost 35 to 50 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent in its lifetime, both in the constructional and operational phases. Whereas this bamboo is a net negative, I mean carbon negative material. And on the right side, if you see, it's a dining hall. The materials of the dining hall is sourced locally. The columns and the reapers which are used in the dining hall, it is from the invasive species called Acacia mearnsi. So it's a wattle plant there, and the thatched roof is made from a lemongrass, which is again locally sourced. So both these, reduces the carbon emissions, or I would say like the carbon emissions from this infrastructure is insignificant. And for the camping tents, so the tents normally emits up to 50 kgs of CO2 equivalent from the cradle to cradle. Sorry, sir.
I think you can continue,
Hello,
Lakshmi.
yes, okay, sir.
Can I request all the participants to mute their system? Yeah,
Thank
please
you, sir.
continue.
Yes, sir. So the camping tents will emit up to 50 kgs of CO2 equivalent, again, which is very less when compared to the conventional buildings. So in totality, the travel companies which is going sustainable or which is going less on carbon footprints, they attract more people, because the trend is changing now. Like earlier it used to be the people wishes to go to the resorts or the luxury places. Now they want to get connected with the nature. And by the way, did anyone of you have a camping experience? Or ever wanted to have this camping experiences? uh, Thank you, sir. Can you please explain what experiences you had in the camping?
Yeah, my experience was it was for the first time when I did there was some amount of suspense or feel how it would be to stay in this place lonely and it was a different experience. primarily a different experience compared to staying in a room and a cabin.
Thank you, sir. So even I had the same, the thought process when I first camped. So it was in the month of August, and that period was, it's a period of very high wind and the monsoon in the place where I stayed. So at one point in time, the tent which I stayed, it started to, the bend and buckled, and I had that. The concern, like, would I be thrown away from the train tent, or the tent itself will fly because of the high wind? But yeah, those kind of experience still it is fresh in my memories. But yeah, that's what the camping gives. And again, if you go and stay in a place which gives similar kind of the memories, so that place has achieved its goal. Like, that customer keeps repeating, they come to those places regularly and they refer to the places. Yeah. And so in this Alpas camps and resorts, though they are very minimal on carbon footprints, they also took a baby step of calculating the emissions from their operations. So because their infrastructure is less on carbon footprint, but their activity they wanted to analyze. And so basically they took the reference from the publicly available specifications, that is PAS 2050 and 2060. So 2060, it provides the guidance on how to approach the carbon neutrality. So the first step is like the organization should define its period, or the baseline period, and the achievement period, and the commitment period. So baseline period is basically the time frame from when the company wanted to calculate its emissions. And the achievement period is after that, defining the baseline period, the subsequent year is what they collect the data and they calculate the emissions, like how much emissions are coming from their activities. And the commitment period is the time period when they are actually going to offset those emissions. And the main challenge at Alpas was identifying, the GHG, greenhouse gas emissions inventory, because for a campsite of that scale and with very limited resources, it has to the people of Alpas has to work by themselves to calculate the or to identify the inventories and to form a calculation sheet. So once the inventories are identified and the calculations are the calculation sheets are drafted, so then the company can start data collection, and the calculations are also, I mean, like, the emissions are also calculated. And so if we see the emissions, so there are basically three scopes: scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. So scope 1 gives, I mean, like, the scope 1 defines the emissions which are coming from the campsite directly. What I meant is, like, the emissions from the fossil fuels, which is burnt in the area of the operations. And scope 2 is the indirect emissions, which to give an example, like the electricity which we normally use. So some company is generating that electricity, and we are buying that electricity from the company. So this constitutes scope 2 emissions. And scope 3 is the other emissions which are arising from the operation of the company or the operation of other third parties. So why I told the challenges in identifying the inventory is there should not be any double accounting while calculating the emissions. So means, for example, let's take like, the customer is coming from a place A to the camps to the player. I mean, like, to this Alpas. So the transportation actually it is accounted under scope 3. So there is a doubt whether this emission should be accounted under the transporter or the ALPAS or the campsite. So it is always challenging in identifying these inventories. And once we know all these roadmaps, so the company can, analyze where they can reduce these emissions and where they can improve the operational efficiency. And so this is the inventory mapping of the Alpas camps and resorts. So if you see infrastructure, like there is a kitchen, there is a dining hall, there is a washroom, and the bamboo house and the camping tents. So this is basically the emissions for constructing the infrastructure or the broader emissions. And the yellow one is the insignificant emissions, and the green one is the significant emissions arising out of this activity. And similarly for customer experience, so the customer arrival is one activity and the customer experience. Under the customer experience, so we have broadly classified into 3 categories. One is the stay, and the other one is the food, and the other one is the campfire, because that is, again, that is, it's the significant contributor of GHG emissions. But of course, if it is nullified as per the standard PIS 2050, because the campfire, the wood we use has already absorbed the carbon dioxide in its lifetime. And it is just that we are, postponing this, the emission. Like, because if we don't use that wood for campfire, anyways it will decompose in the future, and in that process it will emit this the stored carbon. So that is why the standard specifies it should be accounted separately, the fossil fuel emissions or the campfire emission. But the other emissions are insignificant. For example, the sludge and food waste, they are insignificant in a shorter period, but they are significant in a longer period of time. And the gases, LPG gases, which is used for cooking, again, it's a scope 1 emission, because we are burning the fuel in the area of operation. And so let me open this report. So this is the greenhouse gas emission report, which was prepared in 2020 to 21. But yeah, for some reasons, like the campsite is not operational now. But yeah, when it was operating, it has formed this, or created this report. And for the organizational boundary, so it is having a total control, operational control, and that is being a significant. So it has chosen this the level of boundary, because in operational under operational control, the company has to account for all the emissions arising because of the operations. And if you see the scope 1 emission, for example, the consume of the usage of LPG gas cylinder and the refrigerator. So those comes under scope 1 emissions. And the scope 2 emission is the electricity which the Alpas has purchased from the Tamil Nadu Electricity Board. And scope 3 is the transportation emission, because the major chunk of this is coming from the transportation. See, like the tourism contributes 6.5% of the overall emissions worldwide. And of 6.5%, transportation contributes 75% of the emissions, which is a major chunk. The other contributors are the development of infrastructure What I meant by that is the deforestation and usage of all these construction materials and the waste generations. So the waste generations will come under scope 3. The transportation and waste generations, it was accounted to 17.65 tons of CO2 equivalent. The next one, the next case is that I'm going to talk about is TD. TD means take it easy and easy does it. So this name is, derived from the principle of permaculture. So I have a question. Did anyone of you have come across the concept of permaculture or, made your own, did your own composites, or did you make your own manure from the food waste from our households? So did anyone had experience in that?
Yes, sir. In Tiruchirappalli, the Tiruchirappalli Corporation, they provided two PVC pipes with this more, and it has been installed in the area where the plants are being kept, and in garden, local garden, which is around the house. And every day we have been asked to put the vegetable waste inside that PVC pipe, and it has to be closed. Weekly once, you have to pour some sort of chemicals which was made by the corporation itself, and they will be provided in the bottles, and you have to pour weekly once. After 2 months, when you take out it, you will find manure which consisting of worms. Big worms will be, which will be very good for the natural manure for the land. That has been the initiation taken by the Tiruchirappalli Corporation, sir, Tamil Nadu.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. So I would like to go to my first slide and watch that video again.
Are you all messing with me? Is there a bear here that lives here?
Yeah. We have a resident Bhalu. He is also a warrior of TD, compost warrior. So he helps us, he churns, so you have to do something called augering.
Okay.
So in composting, you need a lot of aeration. Like even if you do in your own home, you're trying to compost, you cannot have it completely packed. So it needs a lot of air for the microbes and for all the beings that are inside. Okay. So we have something where we do augering. So we have this huge kind of something like this, and we have to put it in, and we have to sort of. But when the bhalu comes, we don't have to do that because he does it for us.
So there is a bhalu.
Yeah, he comes. It's been I think 3 years since he's come, and 3-4 years by Sakela.
Isn't it a little dangerous to have?
No, he's very cute.
Okay, so what the bear does there is like it comes and eats all these worms, and of course those worms are the reason for the composting, and the bear eats those worms, and the final product can be readily usable. So ma'am, so this is I hope you are also referring the same one. I mean, of course, you use the pipes there, but they use a normal, the natural way of composting.
Yes, that was the initiation taken by the corporation in order to create the natural manure. Because
Okay.
worms are very important to make the healthy of the land and the
True, ma'am.
natural manure, you can say.
Yeah,
And
yes, true, ma'am. Please, ma'am, please continue.
yeah, because in all the houses in our colony, there were 32 houses were there, and it is being provided by one of the, because we can ask the the person, those who are selling the PVC pipe, he is sponsored. He is sponsored for all the houses, but the width should be big so that the vegetable waste it can be put inside daily. So that two advantage. One is you are not disturbing the corporation by throwing your garbages, and second thing, the waste product is being it is being made into a utility. Again, a circular economy we can say. Under that aspect, you are utilizing the waste product to a utility point of view. It is usable, and you are protecting your land. And you know the flowers after we are placed those manure, the flowers were very big, and also it is very, and fragrance also more, and we witnessed, all we people witnessed. So what my expectation, all the corporation or municipality, local people, they have to encourage like these types of natural way of making manure and other possible ways, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
That's it, sir.
Thank you very much. And you have rightly said, yes. Yeah, you have rightly said, like, yes, everyone has to, follow these principles. And yes, because we get a lot of benefits from it. Like, we don't need to use, this sometimes there is also a concept like where we can form or, create a bioenzymes, so that can be used as a substitute for what for Harpic or Lysol, what we use in our households. So those bioenzymes are also a part of permaculture, and again, this manure is also a part of. I mean, it's like these things are derived from the principles of permaculture. And permaculture is, to tell in a simple word, it is a permanent agriculture. Like whatever we do, there has to be a purpose for it. So basically, the permaculture has three ethics or three principles. One is earth share, and earth share, and the person share and fair share. So all these three things, the earth, the people, and everything, like we both coexist. Like it is not like earth is separate and the humans are separate, so we both are coexisting. And so that is that emphasizes the principles of permaculture. And I will show you another video which gives a more detailed the dimension of permaculture.
This is something in permaculture, you call it a stacking function. This is something in permaculture, you call it a.
So basically, this is a handrail. So they are put in their place, like in the TD. So TD is basically located in Darjeeling, and so to tell about TD, it was used to be the hollow brick manufacturing places. Then the owners abandoned it, and that place has become the garbage places. Uh, Particularly, municipalities will dump the garbages in these places. So the owner has, he later visited India, and he realized that his place has become, it has become a useless place. So he basically stayed here, and he wanted to convert this place into the place of places like a forest, or the place where people can come and get connected with the nature, and coexist and experience the nature. So this is basically the handrails which they have put up in their the resort, or the tourist place, I would say. So
This is something in permaculture, you call it a stacking function. So it means that whatever you kind of do, whatever processes you have should have multiple purpose. Okay, so this is somewhat like, so this is a railing for people to walk, but this is going to have our water line, Wi-Fi line,
Oh my God.
and electricity line, in it.
Okay, so this is the principle of permaculture. So for any activity or any um, anything which we do, it should have multiple purpose, not just one purpose. So that's what this video tells. This handrails has the upper one is as a water line, and the second layer is the Wi-Fi line, and the third layer is the electricity line. And so TD extends the principle of permaculture to its the infrastructure also. So basically, it used the mud and the bamboos to build this house where tourists can come and stay. So they use a technique called wattle and daub. Wattle is like it is like a to in this case it's like a weaving a bamboo for constructing a wall, and daub is plastering of mud over it. So this gives a good aesthetic, as well as this TD is located in a landslide prone area. So even 10 days back they had heavy landslide, yeah, unfortunately. So they designed this the houses so that even if landslide occurs, all these materials will decompose naturally, and so that no harm is created to the environment. And these houses are built using the local people. Like the architect is a natural builder, and so he gave the design, and the local community people built this one. And TD also organizes a volunteering program to give knowledge or to share the knowledge of permaculture. And the right side of the photo you see again, it's the rooms made of earthen materials. And they have named this particular house as a air dwelling house because whatever is projected above the ground, whatever this structure, so they have designed in such a way that they have used a cantilever support, so that it also aids in the landsliding time. And this is again the another type of house which is located nearby a stream. Again, this is made from the mud and the bamboo. So basically, they use two kind of design. One is the local Darjeeling design, and the other one is so they asked the people from Kalimpong, which is again in near to Darjeeling, and so the people from there came and built this one. So both again both have different weaving techniques, but yeah, the concept remains same, the fundamental concept. And this is again they call this as a spider garden. So what it basically does is it has a two layers. We can see from the photo. The first layer, I mean, it's like it's all filled with the sand, and the top layer, they will plant the trees which requires less amount of water. So those things will be planted on the top in the top layer, and in the bottom layer again they will plant the trees which needs higher level of water. Again, this design, like here, you can see it's a spiral one. The again, it is designed for the purpose of the sunlight. Like so, the sun again, it lies in conjunction with the movement of sun. So, for example, in the morning time, if the sun is rising from the east, the opposite side of this or this wall, which is in the top layer, gives a shade to the tree, which doesn't require too much of sunlight, and that's how they designed this this garden, spider garden, and they also grow their own vegetables. So and they also give that vegetables to the customer, and in that way they also reducing the emissions because of the transportation of vegetables. And yeah, so yeah, that's it from my side. And I want to mention a special thanks to the team of TD because they have given this for sharing this information and the photos and videos. So is there any, I mean, like any questions is there to ask? Please feel free to ask the questions.
Sir, another information like the where the villages are doing and through the NGOs that
Okay.
the waste product how it is being utilized. They are constructing the gobar gas. You would have heard the cow
Yes,
dung
ma'am.
or dungs. It is being used and it is being there will be inlet and outlet will be there and a drum will be there. You have to use that dung and mix with water and you have to place it in the inlet and so that the drum will rise and the gas will be there and you can utilize for your domestic purpose. The outlet, the cow dung's waste, it will be utilized as a natural manure where nearby garden or where there is a agricultural purpose, it is being utilized. So the ordinary cow dung, it is we cannot say ordinary cow dung. It contains a lot of natural medicines also there. So when it is being utilized, again the purpose one is because now the gas problem, I mean LPG gas problem is not there, but earlier time there was a heavy demand for LPG gas. Those times, like these types of, I mean, gas, gobar gas, and other utilities, that again the local people and the local municipality or corporation and through NGOs, the government they are implementing and also they are providing subsidiary for that. If it is the project is for 60,000, the people has to pay 30,000 or 35,000. Remaining will be provided by the government. So that what my request or expectation, whatever the government is providing benefits, it is not reaching the people. So the step should be taken in such a way that the people should aware of the benefit schemes by the government. That's all, sir. This I want to tell you. Waste resource management. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this information. Yes. So yes, we are not utilizing the schemes provided by the government. I mean, at least to a certain extent, we are not utilizing it. But yeah, through constant awareness, we also get to know about all the schemes. But yeah, hopefully we will be using or utilizing the schemes in the future. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Any other questions?
Mr. Lakshmi, I have a question. Okay. So, how does the customers, whenever they come to these kind of campsites or for that matter, eco-friendly resorts, okay, are they interested in paying more money or, I mean, how does that really work? Okay. So, I mean, it is also sometimes people do say that it is costly to be sustainable. Okay. So, is that true? And what is your opinion on that?
Yeah, in a way, it is costly to be sustainable because we will be catering to a niche customers. And yes, but yeah, there is a statistical data which tells the people are willing to pay more if they are staying in a sustainable places. So they wanted to basically wanted to know get connected with the nature. For example, if we are going to a campsite, we do not want a sophisticated or a luxury infrastructure. We just want to get connected with the nature, walk through the forest and listen to the sound of the forest. And yes, there are also some kind of people. Uh, they wanted to visit the place just to see the stars. And again, there is a concept called stargazing. Uh, you know, uh, to do a stargazing, like they have to visit a remote place where there is no light and no infrastructure. I mean, it's like infrastructure in the sense, what I meant is the conventional building, which again hinders the experience of stargazing. So people are there to spend more money. They also wanted to visit these kind of places.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, audience? Probably, maybe I'll ask one more question. So, if you, I mean, most of us are faculty members here. About 90% of the people who are here are faculty members, and who also do research. As a practitioner, what do you suggest? What kind of research can be done in this area that you think it will be useful for the tourism industry per se?
Um, See, I mean, like if you so you wanted to do research in any genre or like in a specific genre
In
you wanted to do?
tourism per se.
See, research can be done in a multiple ways. One is that because the customers or the consumers are very dynamic, and like it is a very challenging for the travel companies to understand the trend or the expectations of the customer. So they find it quite challenging when the customer of not of the customer are visiting like who is not that type of customer that the company expects. So it is very difficult for them to to manage or to engage them into these sort of things. So probably research can be done in this field. And again, in the principle of the sustainability, again the research can be done in ways like which reduces the emissions of the from the development of infrastructure. Like of course there are many researches which is going on. I hope, like, but yeah, there, I mean, it's like the technology should be in such a way that the initial investment is also low, and the value which we are getting from that infrastructure is high with relation to the current technologies.
Okay, fine. There is one more question from another participant, that is, during peak season, how sustainability is maintained in tourist places, or any strategy that you would suggest?
It's a good question. So like some people, for example, in this Alpas, so they limit the people, whatever may be the season. I mean, of course, it doesn't help in the business growth in a short term, but yeah, it does in a long term because um, when there are more people, like the campsites or the hotels, they only try to manage the customers. They don't provide the experience which is the expected one from the customer. So if there are a very little people or less persons or the customers, in a way they give a personalized experience, and that personalized experience due to the networking effect, they will refer to their friends and the family members, and again they will come to the place. So the company shouldn't they shouldn't think that it should capitalize on the peak season alone. So because the business becomes sustainable when when the guest comes all around the time, like not only in the peak season, because that's what the expectations of the companies also. Like they want, of course, their utilization factor should be as high as possible, but again, the company should decide what should be their utilization rate. Like if they concentrate only, or if their motto is only money making, then obviously they will not sustain for a longer period of time. But if the company's motto is to give the authentic experience and get a sustainable income, then yes, they should be thinking to limit the people in a peak time. Did I answer your question?
Uh, Professor Ragupati? Yeah. So in a way, do you think that when you limit the number of people, the premium nature of the place also increases? Because
Yes, true.
I saw one of the examples where it's a very funny concept where you'll have to sleep, okay, in a bed in the open sky, in an enclosed space, in the sense there is going to be a fence around that particular property, and the people who come to that resort, they have to sleep in the open sky. There'll be a bed, only the bed will be provided, everything will be open, out in the open. So just have to sleep there. Okay, and looks like it is booked for the next 3 years completely. So, do you also see such a trend in places like the things in India?
See, yes, it is true. Means like there are unique properties. There are quite few unique properties in the worldwide, and which so like the customers has to wait for years to to get a confirmed booking. Yeah, that is true. And of course, if we limit the people and if we limit the number of the infrastructures or the rooms, then yes, because if there is a too much of supply, again the demand will be less. It's just the economics concept, like demand versus supply. But if the supply is too little, like the demand will be more, and again the with the less supply and with the enhanced experience, people will be willing to pay more even, and they'll be they don't mind waiting for a longer period of time.
Okay, thank you.
And in India, like there was one place. Of course, now they have made it as a commercial place. But earlier, there was a place near Kodaikanal. The place is called Pumbari, where there is a dome tent. A dome tent is like which will be it's a dome shape, but a white transparent the tent materials are provided so that they can see the stars, and so it's a unique property at that point of time in South India, and people to wait for almost 4 or 5 months to get a confirmed booking, and they had only two rooms at that point of time. So yeah, so this substantiates your thought process.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the participants? Okay.
Okay, so
Anything?
I mean, like from my perspective, like tourism is not only an activity which provides rejuvenation to us or a relaxed mindset or exploring new places. It should also be considered as a tool, to shape the world. Because if the sustainable tourism is what the future is going to round about, because in the sustainable tourism, we try to conserve the resources, or we try to shape the environment in such a way that we exist with that nature. So if that is what it's going to be, then yes, tourism it's a very great tool to shape the world around us.
Okay. So there is one more question. Any specific waste that is a major concern in the tourist place, or is it only the plastic?
No, the plastic, yes, is a major, the concern. See, I wanted to, constrain to a particular place, or for example, hotels, where um, there are two, three concepts. Like one is that the food waste is again a huge concern. Of course, if they, employ this composting concept, they can mitigate in to a certain limit. And again, earlier, whenever we visit a hotel, uh, like this the washing of bed linen. So every day the hotels will wash the bed linen, and that will consume almost 25 to 30 liters of water per wash for one linen. Again, those waste waters gets accumulated, and I mean, it's like the hotels is responsible for that kind of waste, because water is very precious and it is very limited. And I see these two waste particular to a hotel or any places where we stay.
Okay.
And
Okay. Yeah.
the other thing to extend, I mean, if I want to extend to the earlier one, like the soap or the toiletries which we use when we visit a hotel or a cottage. So every day they will change the soap, but that it is not required at all, because the same person is if the same person is going to stay for 3-4 days continuously. So then what is the point of changing the soap every day? So all this waste gets accumulated. Yes, please continue.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question from the participants? Okay. If not, we will conclude the session. And Vidhi, can you go ahead and provide the concluding remark? That's it. And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure. Sure, sir. Okay. Um, yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the second session as well, and you got really good, insights from this session as well regarding decarbonization and tourism. And thank you so much, sir, for this insightful session. And it was really great for all of us. And if you guys still have some issues or any questions you would want to, ask to him, I guess you can contact him through LinkedIn. Yeah, right. Yeah. So if you have any issues or anything, I guess you can find him on LinkedIn and contact him and ask the questions as well. This was a really great session, both the sessions. And if you guys have any feedback or anything you want to ask regarding the FDP, please you could ask right now. Okay, so I don't think so. Anybody has any questions? So I guess that's it. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining both the sessions and after a day of busy work. And thank you so much, sir, for giving the session. And I hope you have, yeah.
Yeah, I thank Namanita Krishnan sir and the AICTE Training and Learning Academy for giving me this opportunity, to discuss. And of course, I got a very good knowledge from the professor who gave information about the government schemes, all those things. Yeah, it was a good session for me as well.
Yeah, that's great, sir. Thank you so much. So I guess, yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for participating today. And I hope to see you all tomorrow as well for the next sessions. And yeah, good night.
Thank you.
Good night,
night.
all.
Yeah.
Good night.